So your thyroid, in the back, it has nodules. These are called the parathyroid gland. And those are the ones that are going to be checking for low calcium. So when calcium is low, the parathyroid gland in the back of the thyroid, that's where it's at, will secrete PTH, parathyroid hormone. Okay? Parathyroid hormone will go into the bloodstream, and it's going to stimulate the kidney and the small intestine to absorb calcium and phosphate. Again, once PTH is released into the blood, it's going to stimulate the kidney and the small intestine to absorb calcium and phosphate. In conjunction, PTH will stimulate the kidney to secrete calcitriol. Remember, that's vitamin D. So it's not working alone. PTH doesn't work alone. It works with calcitriol, vitamin D3. So PTH will also stimulate the kidney to secrete calcitriol, which in turn will activate the kidney and the small intestine to also absorb calcium and phosphate. So once again, when calcium is low, the parathyroid gland in the back of the thyroid will secrete PTH. PTH goes into the blood and stimulate the kidney and small intestine to, now release, to absorb, to take up calcium and phosphate. PTH will also stimulate the kidney to secrete calcitriol. All right? You can also read it in your textbook, it's there. Okay. Secrete calcitriol, which in turn will also stimulate the kidney and small intestine to absorb calcium and phosphate. Any questions so far? The last point is PTH will go to the bone. PTH will go to the bone and directly stimulate osteoclast activity to break down bone. PTH will go to the bone and directly activate osteoclasts. See that? They're stimulated directly by PTH to break down bone. Release calcium and phosphate. PTH will go to the bone and stimulate the osteoclast with a C to break down the bone, to release calcium and phosphate because you're low in calcium. What's the big deal? What if you don't have no calcium? What's the big deal if it's low?
Your bones break.
Besides that, huh? It can, but not yet. What else is going to happen before that?
Weak bones.
Calcium is necessary for muscle contraction.
Muscle contraction. That's what you're going to feel first. Guess which muscle you're going to feel it a lot?
Heart?
No, not the heart.
The
There you go, the calf muscles. In the morning, as you pass the age of 45, you're going to see that. It's very, it's like, you can't even stretch, you can't do that. Just kill me now. It cramps up on you, so that's how you're going to know. So again, as soon as you pass age 40, you're going to see a lot more. Of course, it all depends how, how well you're maintaining your body. Remember, how good you are right now is what you conserved the past 10 years. So if you're doing bad, that means 10 years ago you were worse. See that? So this always backs up on you, and it's going to hit you. Just take a picture. That way you can compare it. Anyways, so that is, again, the cycle. Once again, when calcium is low, the parathyroid gland, the back of the thyroid, will secrete PTH. Remember, these are lobules. PTH will go into the blood and stimulate the kidney and the small intestine to absorb calcium and phosphate. PTH will also stimulate the kidney to secrete calcitriol. See that? Which will also in turn activate the kidney, small intestine to absorb calcium and phosphate. And the last thing, PTH goes to the bone and will stimulate the osteoclasts to break down bone, to release calcium and phosphate. Remember, because you're low.
So is that why when they put you on vitamin D supplement, they advise that you take it when you
Yeah,
go
get calcium, yeah. That's the whole point. And apparently to another doctor that just gave me his recommendation, he's practicing here in El Paso, is that even young women as age of 19 already have calcium problems. So you don't need to wait until age 60. That means that even before getting pregnant, now that's a big issue. You have to be very careful. The males, because of the density of the bone, usually it doesn't affect them until much later in life. But the female, it looks like because of the pregnancy that comes up, you lose a lot of this reserves. So it's very dangerous. Either way, again, as you're an adult, you're losing this ability of radiation. So again, we do have this mechanism, but the diet, once again, it's our diet, it's not adequate. The second part of the essay is when calcium is high. What are you going to do? When calcium is high, the C cells of the thyroid, that's what they're called, C cells. Okay, that's the short name. The C cells of the thyroid by the seashore. The C cells of the thyroid gland secrete calcitonin. Got to remember that word. Everybody mixes it up with calcitriol. It's not, it's calcitonin. Again, when calcium is high, the C cells in the thyroid secrete calcitonin. Calcitonin goes into the blood and stimulates the kidney and the small intestine to do what? Remember, calcium is high. You're going to the kidney and to not absorb. See that? Let it go. Like frozen, just let it go. Pee it out. Don't absorb it. See? To not absorb calcium and phosphate. So once again, when calcium is high, the C cells of the thyroid gland secrete calcitonin. Goes into the blood and stimulates the kidney and the small intestine not to absorb calcium and phosphate. Okay? The last point is calcitonin will indirectly block PTH. And as a result, osteoclast stimulation decreases. So it's an indirect relationship because it's blocking PTH. So it's not going to the osteoclast saying, hey, shut down. They're not doing that. Again, so in this case, the calcitonin goes to the bone and it's going to block PTH. And indirectly, it's going to decrease the activity of osteoclasts. And osteoblasts will be allowed to deposit calcium into the bone. In other words, the only one you're going to be affecting always is either this one, activating it or not. Because osteoblast is always doing that action, always. So as you decrease the activity of the osteoblast indirectly, then the osteoblast will deposit the calcium onto the bone. So again, calcitonin goes to the bone and indirectly blocks PTH, which is not going to allow the osteoclast to be activated. It's going to inhibit it, and then the osteoblast will continue to deposit the calcium onto the bone. Okay. The last part of this chapter is referring to fractures. The only fracture that I'm interested in you learning is the green stick. Okay? So green stick is the main one. Okay, the green stick. Incomplete fracture. If you break anything, make sure it's not the commuted one. That's the worst one. You need little pieces. If you want to break something, do it right. Break it all the way through. Because if you don't break it, they're going to break it for you. And this is true for the fingers and toes. Because you're not going to end up having them correct. Okay, or any other bone. So again, you got to have a complete break. So this is incomplete, usually seen with kids. So that's the main one that I want you to focus on. Okay, the green stick. All right, any questions? So that completes chapter 6, believe it or not. All right.